everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer, and I am the host of Own Your Wellness. And happy Thursday, everyone. I'm excited to be here today because we have an amazing guest, and she's already warmed my soul just by reading her bio alone. Oh my goodness, this woman has got such a beautiful soul. I don't even want to waste any time before I introduce her. Her name is Carine Camara. Let's bring her on.
Hi.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad you're here. And as I mentioned to you privately, I just love your background. That is amazing. Does it have some sort of special significance or
Well,
just
I
resonate?
believe I believe that everyone is loved and should be loved and feel loved. So this is just to remind people that you're loved and there's people that love you.
Oh, that's wonderful. So not everybody is familiar with who you are yet. So would you mind sharing a little bit about who you are and your own wellness journey?
Yeah, so my name's Corinne, as you mentioned, and I have always been interested in wellness based on wanting to feel good. So my motivation was always, how can I feel better? How can I be okay in the world? And it from an emotional place. I was suicidally depressed for many years. I had low energy. But what really started to shift for me is when I started looking at alternative ways of living. It started with food. I had really bad acne, so I stopped eating processed sugar. I stopped eating dairy. And then I was working at an acupuncture school as an office manager, and then I had a cyst on my ovary, and the doctor wanted to give me surgery. So I decided to try acupuncture, and that worked within 2 months. My cyst went away, my painful menstrual cycles went away. I started to feel better. I started to feel stronger emotionally, and it shifted my whole world. And I decided to become an acupuncturist. And I also went on this journey of discovering who I am and who I wanted to be in the world. I moved to California from New York, and my whole wellness journey was figuring out the emotional aspects of what was really making me sick, like the depression, having low energy, like all of my symptoms that I was having. A lot of them were based on how I was emotionally doing, not having enough self-love, my self-worth, my confidence. And so going on this process of truly understanding what love is was really the biggest healing. And so it took my healing journey that was already great, but took it to that next level of feeling awesome and excited about being in the world and feeling good about my body and my health.
That's amazing. And you've touched on so many wonderful things that I love to talk about. So I'm excited you're here. But something that you said that really stood out to me was like really learning to love yourself, and that a lot of your symptoms came from not. And how were you able to make that correlation? Because in this Western world, we don't do that. It's always a pill and we don't tend to make the correlation, but obviously you did. How was that possible for you?
Well, the first thing was in Chinese medicine and acupuncture theory, a large part of it is emotional based. A lot of the meridians are based on emotion. Like the heart, of course, is love, joy. The lung meridian is about grief. The liver meridian is about anger. So I was already touching upon that when I was in acupuncture school, learning, okay, like all the meridians, all our energy body is affected by emotions. But when I moved to California, I was fortunate enough to meet mentors and coaches and teachers that were able to help guide me for me to learn, oh, actually, there's more to life than just taking supplements and eating right. There's also the emotional toxicity that I have to leave and I have to work with to actually remove that from my body, because things were not working. I was like, why am I not feeling better? I'm plant-based, I exercise, I meditate, I do yoga. Like I should be on top of the world. Like, why do I still have no energy? Why am I still not happy? There was all that internal work that I still needed to do. Like I still needed to figure out how to love myself, how to not be angry, how to be more peaceful, how to be more grounded, how to let go of all the pain that I've been carrying. And I'm still a work in progress, right? I'm still learning how to release more and be more. But the more I was able to release and let go, the healthier I became. So it wasn't about, okay, let me take my vitamin C. It's like, okay, how do I go outside and be grateful that I'm alive and taking the sun?
Yes. Oh, I love that so much, because obviously that's the whole premise of the show. You can do all those things and still not be healthy. So
Right.
I'm so excited you're here. So You talked about like letting go of anger and that sort of those toxic emotions. Did you speak with a therapist, or is it something because you said you were already doing meditation? How were you able to start working through those things?
Well, I had a spiritual coach, so that was kind of like
A good way.
why. Yeah, so why that all kind of happened. So that was a big part of it. That and having amazing friends, like having a support structure, and also wanting to change, like wanting to let that go. And obviously, I'm in the healthcare profession, so it behooved me to work on my own stuff so I can hold space for other people. So that
Yeah.
also was my motivation. Like, I want to be a very good practitioner. I want to help people. So, in order to help people, I really have to help myself so that when somebody's coming to me with this pain, I know how to guide them because I've walked the walk. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, just being the healer that I am was about healing myself so that I can help others have their own miraculous healing within themselves.
I love that so much. So you mentioned being, because I know you have more than one skill, but acupuncture in particular. I don't think we've had an acupuncturist on the show yet.
Oh,
So
wow.
would you mind explaining that for the audience a little bit? Like what, because
Yeah.
there's all kinds of like horror stories and things out there, or just not knowing is what I'd rather say, not knowing.
Yeah. So acupuncture is one of the facets of Chinese medicine. So Chinese medicine is a whole holistic system that includes acupuncture, herbs, qigong, which is breath work,
Mhm.
tai chi, which is movement, and nutrition, and also massage. So there's a whole holistic way of looking at the body. So acupuncture, the angle of acupuncture is how to create homeostasis in the body. So we have different meridians in our body that flow in different directions and different up and down, but mostly they go from head to toe or to the
Mhm.
chest. And there's one that goes that's horizontal. And ultimately, when our bodies are not functioning properly, like I like to think of our bodies like like a waterways, like we have a bunch of rivers and
Yeah.
valleys and canals, right? We have all this blood and everything's moving. But when things are not moving, that creates stagnation, and it creates buildup, and that creates the pain. So
Mhm.
acupuncture creates a way to start opening up those pathways so energy and blood flow and lymph flow can move. And the reason why we use needles as opposed to acupressure, which is also a good modality that's based in acupuncture, is acupuncture needles are metal. So they're conductors of heat and
Mhm.
energy. So you put a needle in the body and the body starts to recognize that something's foreign. And then
Mhm.
your immune system gets ignited. So acupuncture in essentially is a self-healing mechanism. Like I'm pretty much putting needles strategically in specific places because that's where I
Mhm.
know the energy is going to move. And I know that because I do a special type of acupuncture called Kiko acupuncture, which is more Japanese palpation
Ooh.
style. So it's kind of like kinesiology, where you're testing different parts of the body, you're seeing what hurts, and then you're putting needles to then relieve the pain. So ultimately, it's about creating more movement in the body. So I love acupuncture because it initiates your body's immune response, right? So I'm putting in needles and your body's doing the work. It's your body starts to initiate the brain, your brain starts to initiate the natural endorphins. You
Mhm.
have pain relieving, it releases serotonin and dopamine. Your body gets more relaxed, your nervous system gets relaxed, things start moving. So more relaxed you can get, the more energy can flow. So the needles are a big contention for most people because it's a needle. Like, and I personally don't like needles either. So
That's
it
funny.
took it took me a lot of mental work to even get acupuncture because I was afraid of needles. But they're not the same as syringes. Like 20 acupuncture needles can go into one syringe. So
Oh,
they're very thin. And ultimately, you want to find an acupuncturist that works for you. Like I do Japanese style. There's so many
mhm.
different styles. There's traditional Chinese medicine. There's 5 elements. There's Korean. There's a lot of
Mhm.
different type of acupuncturists out there. A lot of them do specific things like sports medicine, pediatrics,
Mhm.
facial acupuncture. You can do natural facelifts with acupuncture.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of different things you can do. Insurance covers it. But for me, I've always been interested in the emotional aspect. So I'm
Mhm.
always going to be coming from that angle. So whatever somebody's coming to me with, like if you're coming to me because you have back pain, shoulder pain, my
Mhm.
answer is going to be like, okay, what's going on with your stress level? What's happening in your life? What are you holding on to? What are you mad about? Like what's going on emotionally? So we can tackle that as well as relieve the physical pain or the physical ailments.
I love that. Something that I always say to people when they say, "Oh, I don't think that'll work," is I'm like, it works on horses. If it can work on a horse, it can work on you. You're the only person blocking its effectiveness.
Yes, and also you may not find the right acupuncturist. I mean, it's like finding a really good pair of shoes. You try on
Mhm.
a lot of shoes, but you always have a pair of shoes that your favorite. So,
Yeah.
an acupuncture, it's an energy medicine. So it's not just
Mhm.
like I'm going to an acupuncturist. If you didn't get something out of it, go find another one. There's like thousands of acupuncturists. So I say don't give up. It's an amazing modality and it's so good for everything. It's good for chronic pain. It's good for any kind of illness like diabetes, stroke, palliative care. I mean, there's so much work that can be done around it. Chemo, all of that stuff. It's great for side effects, pregnancy, IVF, fertility. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's almost like acupuncture is good for everything, really.
It seems
So,
like it. My spiritual mentor, and I mention this quite often, but he says this, and I thought it was I mean, it's not like he made it up, but he says that everything that is matter once started in energy. So nothing
mhm,
exists in this world that wasn't energy first,
right.
and still is energy. As a matter of fact, it's just taken on a physical form. And I just love the idea of acupuncture because that's exactly what it is. It's energy. And
Mhm.
so my question then is, if somebody's going to see somebody, how many times should they try before they realize, okay, maybe this isn't the right person for me? What would be a fair?
I would say 2 to 3 times.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 to 3 times. Because honestly, the first time you should feel like, okay, that was good. I feel relaxed. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like better than I did when I entered. Like you always want to feel better than you did when you entered,
Mm-hmm.
right? So even if you go there because you have a specific pain, it didn't go away completely, but you
Mm-hmm.
felt a little better. And 2 to 3 sessions, you're not feeling like there's anything that's happening. And most importantly, there's not a rapport between you and the practitioner. You're kind of feeling kind of like, I don't know. I
Yeah.
would say keep looking because you want it to feel like I'm going to see like my good friend.
Yeah. That
Like I
makes a
want,
difference.
you want to like your coach or somebody that's intimate. You want it to be somebody that you feel good about. So I would say keep searching until you find a good connection.
The other question I have too that keeps popping into my brain is it something that, say, like, I could, if I felt like I was basically in perfect health, but would I still go just for maintenance?
Yes. So acupuncture is really powerful for preventative health. So even if you feel healthy, I'm sure there's some areas that need upkeep, that need
Yeah.
tweaking, that can be improved upon. Your immune system could always be improved upon. Like your digestive system could always get better. You're like, and it's also anti-aging. So we all love that. Like we all like to feel youthful and young and happy. And so there's so much that could be done. And I actually feel like when you're not sick, it's the best time to get acupuncture actually because your health is already up, so you're really just maintaining your health. And it's wonderful during any kind of like viruses, all of the stuff that's happening in the world. It's really good to continually get acupuncture to keep your immune system strong.
I love that so much. I know I keep saying that, but I just, it's the first word that comes into my mind is love. I honestly, I have never tried it, but it keeps popping up in my universe. So I think it's time for me to pay attention and actually
Hmm.
go.
Yeah, you should. And there's plenty of good acupuncturists in your region.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
good. I'm excited. And how does one find one? I mean, do you look for when you're looking for an acupuncturist?
Well, I think it depends on what your angle is. Like if you're going for women's health, you might want to put in women's health acupuncture. If you're going in for emotional stuff, so I think you should be specific on what you're Googling for. And the
Gotcha.
acupuncturist that has those keywords on their website, that will come up. And you want to make sure you find somebody that's in your area that you feel comfortable with and all of those
Mhm.
things. And you can always, Google, Yelp, those all of those things are helpful. And I think just being clear on what you want and what kind of energy you're looking for.
So my next question then is, and maybe you, I mean, I'm sure you know the answer to this, but for those who don't really understand, what's the difference then between acupressure and massage?
Acupressure and massage are different because, well, it's a part of massage. So massage has many different modalities, right? So there's like Swedish, there's like sports medicine, there's like
Mhm.
Ralphing, there's all different types. Acupressure is more like you're holding specific points and
Gotcha.
then going on to the next. So it's not like a massage where they're just kind of rubbing and doing
Yeah.
it's more specific.
Mm.
And it may not necessarily be that It might be painful because if we're pressing on certain points that are tight, then you have to breathe into it. So it's not like, may not be the most relaxing.
Yeah.
It's effective. Like I've had acupressure, and because my shoulder hurt, it was not in the moment. I was like, ah, but then afterwards it felt great. But it's not like a massage where you're like laying down and you're getting all relaxed.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned about being plant-based, and this is totally off topic. I just sometimes do this. Is that the way that you continue to eat?
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people out there might take issue with the whole plant-based idea. Would you mind explaining why it's a good choice?
Well, besides the fact that it's great for the environment and I don't want to kill anything that's breathing, that's like my personal preference. Like I
Yeah.
love living beings and I don't want to kill anything to survive, especially when there's so much abundance on trees and there's so much fruits and vegetables. There's like no need to kill anything. But on a health reason, I don't eat animal products because they cause a lot of inflammation in the body and they're very acidic. And most diseases live and grow in acidic environments. And I have the body type that like accumulates dampness, which is inflammation, very quickly. And so that means if I eat meat, I'm pretty much bloated and I pretty much can't eat for the rest of the day. I break out. I have low energy. I just don't feel well. I'm constipated. I mean, it's like it does not work. It's almost like putting a stopper in my digestive system. It clogs me all up. And my mom doesn't eat meat. My brothers don't eat meat. Like my whole family, we're all vegan. So it's kind of like this whole thing of like, it just doesn't work for me. It really
Yeah.
doesn't. And I started this when I was 20. I'm 40 now. So 20 years of being plant-based. And then I did the whole paleo thing. I tried that for a little bit. I was so sick. And then I tried keto for a month and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
My gallbladder was like so mad when I did the keto. Literally, if my gallbladder could talk, it would be cursing me out. It was so bad. I mean, I pretty much had gallbladder attacks. It was like literally like my body does not do well with high protein and high fat. It just makes me super swollen. And I did an experiment when I was 35. I was, super healthy. I stopped eating processed sugar when I was 20. I've been very, very strict on my diet. I did 3 months of doing whatever I want. I ate meat, I ate cheese, I did gluten, I did sugar. I felt so sick after that period that I was like, okay, I feel 100% true and good with my decision not to eat any of those foods, and I'm never going to miss them. Right? So for me, I feel like whenever I have clients that come in with pelvic pain, menstrual pain, and they stop eating animal products, their pain pretty much decreases by like 80%.
Wow.
Like it's like night and day. And then, of course, people always want to test themselves like I did. I was like, oh, I feel good. Can I have a burger? And then they eat meat and then they feel like crap. And I'm like, so I don't know, it's really weird because I get the whole like, where are you gonna get your protein? And which is like one of those questions that I'm just like, gorillas don't ask
Exactly.
And neither do elephants or giraffes and the biggest animals on the planet don't eat meat. So when people give me that question, I'm just like, I can't deal.
It's one of my least favorites too.
I'm just like, the protein question. And I think honestly, for me, it's the least harmful thing that you can do your body is to give it nutrients that it can absorb. Like meat is very hard to absorb. And even the protein that you're getting from meat is so hard to process. The liver has to work so hard to break it down. It just becomes this infestation of inflammation in your body. And, the Atkins diet, he all died of a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
He died of a heart attack. So if his diet was so healthy, then why did he die of a heart attack? So it's one of these things where I wish the whole world was plant-based, and and I don't push it on people. I stopped being a dogmatic vegan. I kind of had to sit down for a little bit. But I do encourage people to eat as much plants, fruits and vegetables as much as possible. Yeah. And I always try to lean them towards, at least one meal, one day a week, be plant-based,
Yeah. Have you read the book Proteinaholic?
No, I should though.
I think you like it a lot. It talks
Okay.
about this whole thing about how, especially in America, we're obsessed with meat and we
So
don't need that much protein, first of all. And then one of my, and I'm sure you've heard this one a million times too, but my favorite answer for when people ask me where I get my protein, I'm like, I get my protein where your protein gets its protein.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
I'm like, the look on everyone's face is like, it depends on the person though, because I don't
Right.
want to shame anybody or anything
Right.
like that for their choices. But
Right.
you know, that's just
Yeah.
you know.
And then they look at you like, oh yeah, like when people eat fish oil. I'm like, why are we eating fish oil when we just eat the algae? Like, doesn't make no sense. Like, why are we
Yeah,
I don't get it. Like, we could just eat the source. Why are we eating the middle person?
exactly. Take out the middleman.
Yeah, the whole animal consumption really bothers me. And
Yeah,
just in the world and how we consume seafood and everything with no thought to the environment and what
exactly.
these creatures are living in and like the conditions that they're in. It's to me, it's like it's so painful. Like and people love their dogs and they love their cats. And I'm like, well, what about the chickens and
Uh-huh.
the pigs and the cows and
Yeah,
all those animals deserve love too. You know, it's not just the pretty cute dogs. And because if people were eating dog meat, people would be horrified.
exactly.
You know, they'd be like, how could you eat
Exactly.
a dog? Or how could you eat a cow? Like, or a sheep or a lamb? They're
Mm-hmm.
babies. I don't
A
know.
baby lamb. They're so sweet.
They're so cute. So
No, I'm
yeah,
with you on that one. And
yeah,
plus, I grew up with a stepmom who's an animal rights activist. So just to even see how these animals are treated, oh, it's just horrifying.
yeah,
Absolutely horrifying. But yeah, I'm with you on that one. It's hard to see. It's hard to, or like my parents, when they lived in Florida, they were next to like this cattle farm, which of all places they lived next to a cattle farm. And they were just the sweetest things. And all I could think of was like, oh my gosh, you're going to get murdered soon.
I
You know,
know.
it was brutal.
It's devastating. And when I was little, I went to a farm, like a class trip,
Mm-hmm.
and my mom was a vegetarian, but she was still feeding us meat. I couldn't eat meat for like a month. I just couldn't do it. I was just like, but the babies, like I was so impressionable as a kid, and I still am. Like, I just can't do it.
Yeah. No, I kind of got to the point too where it's like if I couldn't do it myself, if I can't kill it or I can't see how it was done, I have no business putting it in my mouth.
Mhm. Mhm.
I can't, hook a fish line. I probably shouldn't be eating fish.
No, and I went to a slaughterhouse once. It was very traumatic.
Ooh, I don't know that I recover from that, honestly.
Yeah.
That's pretty brutal. My
Mhm.
stepmom, who is the animal rights activist, actually worked at a slaughterhouse for a while. Can you believe that?
Well, that's probably why she's against it.
Yeah, I mean, she's always had an affinity for all creatures, especially animals. But after that, yeah, definitely,
Mhm.
she was the one that fed us meat too until, well, my dad, because my mom was a vegetarian, so I kind of grew up vegetarian as well. Not that I've never had meat, but
Mhm.
I know a lot of people feel like they're missing out and like they're giving up something when they
Yeah.
start to eat meat or stop to eat meat. And I get it, but they also don't realize, and I love your thoughts on this too, is a lot of people don't realize how sick they are because they're so used to feeling that way. It's like
Yeah.
once you like start pulling out all these things that make you, you know, inflamed, all these things that are mucus creating, all these things that just make your body out of whack, and you really realize how you could possibly feel. Like you haven't taken the time to figure that out. What do you say? I mean, I'm assuming you have similar thoughts.
Yeah, that's a tough one because meat and those types of foods create a lot of stimulus. They're stimulating to the body. That's like drinking
Yes.
coffee, drinking alcohol, even though alcohol is kind of a depressant. But
Mhm.
these are things that people are addicted to. Our brains are addicted to these types of food, the fat, the sugar, the salt. And
Mhm.
so now I'm telling you, stop eating meat. And people are like, oh, but what am I going to do? But I feel like sometimes my backdoor
Mhm.
approach is to focus on how they want to feel,
Yes.
right? Like you want to feel good. Okay, so
Mhm.
what can we do to make you feel good? Let's start like what doesn't make you feel good? How can we work on making you feel good? Because I notice with my clients, if we start to shift their emotional centerpiece and
Mm-hmm.
focus on themselves feeling better. Like, what does that mean? You start to make different choices, because then you start to realize, oh, when I eat like this, I'm eating this hamburger because I was really stressed out at work and I didn't feel great. So I wanted to eat something that was going to make me feel good. Okay, well, you didn't feel stressed. You felt stressed out, but did you feel good after that burger? No, it's kind of bloated, and I just didn't feel that well. Okay, I feel like it's the awareness of like, okay, like this is what's happening to me. This is what I'm reaching out to eat. You start to shift. Okay, like how could we shift the way you feel? And you start reaching out for different foods. And some of my clients, I'm like, start eating. Just eat a bowl of fruit in the morning. Just eat
Yeah.
some fruit in the morning. Like start to change the way you have your habits, and then slowly your habits start to change. I've had clients that were addicted to pastries and they're like, oh, I stopped eating pastries. And I'm like, great. Like, so sometimes it's almost like like one of my clients, she's like one of my favorite clients. She didn't eat that great and she had pelvic pain, and we worked on all of this, and I put her on a cleanse and she started to feel so good. And every day she's like, I can't even believe I can feel this good. Like, I feel so great. Like, I'm having better sex. I'm happy with my husband. My life is feeling so good. And then she goes on vacation and she eats like crap. And then she comes back and she's like, oh no, I can't do that anymore. But that was coming from her, I mean, she's still eating meat, but she's eating like 40% less, almost 50% less than what she was eating. Not everyone's going to want to be a vegan or vegetarian, but I'm happy with 50% less, that's the win for me. But she herself felt better. You know what I mean? So I didn't really I don't have to convince her.
No,
right? I just showed her the way. She did it. And now she's like, ooh, I don't need to eat that hamburger with the bread. Maybe I can eat this hummus and I feel better when I eat the hummus. So I'm just going to eat the hummus because I want to feel good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then there's this old diet, the Beverly Hills diet. I don't know if you ever heard of that. It's so old. It's like probably from the 60s or 70s, but basically you eat one thing at a time and you can have as much of it as you want. And
the mono diet.
Things. Yeah. And it's like, and you really realize though, when you have meat, that it's not necessarily the meat that you like. It's all the sauces and the bread and everything else that comes with it. So,
well, the thing about the meat, you have to add a lot of vegetables for it to taste good. The seasoning, the herbs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all the vegetables. It doesn't taste good without the vegetables. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we do have to go to commercial break, so we'll be right back.
Okay.
Isn't she amazing? Oh, I can hardly wait until the second half because we're going to have some more fun conversation. That being said, I want to say hello to everybody who's watching live. Hello, Helene. And in particular. And we do have to go to commercial break, as I mentioned. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Now, you can vibrationally align your aura. You can gain a larger and spiritual perspective on life, relationships, God, people, wellness, and money. You can also have moments of meditation and reflection any time of the day. And reading the thrilling, adventurous, and mystical story of Shiga will just add more faith to your daily experience of the mystery of the universe. As human beings, we are meant to thrive in an environment where true love is shared, where we are welcome just as we are. A space we connect with others with the single purpose to find God as love within. A place we learn to raise our consciousness and vibration for happiness, wellness, and wealth creation. Transformative, an online spiritual gathering for everyone. This invitation is sent to you by www.livingfaithschool.org.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, I have a special guest. Her name is Carine Camara, and she has, oh my goodness, she's a master of just about everything. Let's bring her back on. Welcome back.
Hey.
So before we go any further, I would love for you to share a little bit about what people can find on your website about you and what kind of things you share there.
Yeah, so my website is a melange of all the work that I do. So I'm a spiritual wellness coach where I work with people online or in person about finding what in their life is they're working on, essentially how to love themselves more and push past their emotional pain to live a radically amazing life. And because I'm a healthcare provider, the wellness is all the lifestyle, health, all of those things are combined, but spirituality is being the main part of it. I'm also there. I also do acupuncture. I do so much nutritional coaching, as we talked about holistic health. So I do a lot of different things, but my main thing is really talking about love is medicine and how to incorporate more love into your life and how and what that looks like. So I have all that information on my website.
I love that so much. And I know that you're also on Instagram.
Yes.
But don't you have something coming up soon?
Yeah, I have a 3-day challenge, which is a 3-day video challenge that you can take, which helps to walk you through some meditations and different perspective changes on how you can look at your trauma or your pain in your life from a viewpoint of being a victor and using that life experience to help transform you to taking you to the next level. So it gives you a little insight on how to do that with some special videos at the end about self-love. And then you can also book a call with me through that to see how I could help you one-to-one as well.
I love that. And then I'm just going to put this up right now too. They can also reach out to you. All kinds of ways. I hope you have a pencil.
Yeah.
Anyway, so of all the different things that you've learned about wellness and spirituality, what has taken you the furthest down the rabbit hole, as they say?
The furthest thing that's taken me down the rabbit hole, I would say that I have to be the change that I want to see in the world.
Yeah.
Like if I want to be the love that I want to see in the world, like I have to be that person. Like if I want to see people that are not in pain, like I have to not be in pain. And, so I feel like all the things I wanted to see in the world, like not having animals suffer and not seeing people suffer, like I have to embody it so that I could be that change. And I think that's taking me down the rabbit hole to create things like my podcast, like the Infinite Love podcast. And those are places and spaces where I'm talking about just that. Like I'm talking about, okay, you want to be an amazing person and you are an amazing person. You had to figure out how you can be that person for yourself. And then how can you emanate that love and that transformation to others so others can then be inspired by it, so they can do it for themselves. So then you can spread that infinite healing.
Yeah, and that's that's laws of the universe right there.
Yeah.
You attract who you're being, and I love that. A lot of people, they don't really understand that in order to, talk about something and be successful, because I know that your goal is to genuinely help people. It's not, everybody needs to make money, but your goal is to help people. And if you can't do it yourself or be that yourself, then how do you expect anybody else to do it?
Correct.
So I love.
I mean, it's pretty much what it is. Like if I'm talking about love, then I have to be a being of love or working towards that state of love,
Mm-hmm.
and to be in order to help someone else, to show them, okay, this is what you can do and this is what I did. And I
Mm-hmm.
know I learned the best from people that have walked the walk. There's some people that haven't, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
I know I always resonated to people that, hey, that was like, hey, this was my journey and this is what
Mm-hmm.
I went through. And I'm like, oh, that's so great. Let me try what you did, or let me get inspired to do something similar. And I feel like that's such a trait of humanity. Like, we always want to be able to gain strength from somebody else's experience.
And that's a beautiful thing. And, I actually just, because I'm not huge on social media, but I just posted something about, you never know who you're inspiring just by being you, just because people are watching, whether you think that they are or not, especially if you have kids. Oh my goodness. Those little buggers are always watching. You can talk till you're blue in the face, but they're going to pay attention to what you're doing. Oh my gosh. So something I wanted to circle back to, one of those emotions that I really struggled with for a long time, and that's anger. And I've really gotten to a place now where it doesn't take over me the way it used to. I mean, it pops up from time to time, but nowhere near. I mean, I'm surprised no wonder I was like not feeling well. I was so angry all the time. My blood pressure must have been insane. But how would you suggest somebody start to work through such types of emotions like anger, for example?
Mm-hmm. Anger is a good one, and most of us repress it. Like, for me, I'm also working through some anger right now, and it's one of those things where you really have to start to embrace the anger.
Mm-hmm.
I think a large part of the large part of it is the resistance to the anger, because it's so big that there's almost a fear around like tapping into that anger because it feels so massive.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the first part of it is like recognizing, okay, you're angry, and trying to figure out, what are you angry about? Like, writing it out, like really going deep into what you're angry for. And then, or
Mm-hmm.
what's happening, why are you angry? And then once you can wrap your mind around feeling around the anger and not lashing that out, so working it out, like I think working out is amazing, like doing exercise,
Yes.
lifting weights, like walking.
Mm-hmm.
Physical movement is a really good way to push the anger energy out of your system, so it's
Mm-hmm.
not held in. Doing breath work,
Mm-hmm.
talking to people, talking to your friends, having somebody that can just listen, that doesn't want to offer anything but just an ear,
Yeah.
talking it out, which is so great. Writing it out, like just putting it outside of you, and also praying about it, like asking
Mm-hmm.
for help and guidance to help push the anger out of you. And then the next step would be forgiveness, like working on forgiving yourself and forgiving the person that you perceive did something to you, and working on that level. And all the while truly loving all aspects of yourself, because I feel like a large time when you're angry, then it's like that other side of like feeling bad that you feel angry, and feeling weird that you feel angry and
Mm-hmm.
guilty. Like working on loving all those aspects of your personality that make you who you are.
That's beautifully put, and a lot of tips and tricks to get people started. So I appreciate you mentioning those things, because all of them, they don't seem hard to do. So I think it also takes some practice too, to get used to, catching yourself and realizing, instead
Yeah.
of just going down that road of anger as far as you can.
Yeah, and it gets repressed. A lot of
Mhm.
depression in Chinese medicine, we talk about anger being in the liver meridian. And if
Mhm.
you are angry for long enough and you repress it, it also becomes depressed. You become depressed. So depression is also repressed anger. So
Oh wow.
there's also that angle. So,
Mhm.
or being angry could also be fear, repressed fear that hasn't really been expressed, and then it comes out as anger. So there's a lot of nuances with anger, that it could be a really good way of tapping into what's really happening emotionally, because anger is an emotion that's so violent in a sense, that
Mhm.
it's one of the emotions that people react to the fastest. So that could also be a good way for you to go deep inside yourself, to start to do the inner research on where it's coming from.
No, that's a really good point too. And I love that Chinese medicine talks about that, because I've never heard it. I mean, they don't talk about that kind of thing in Western medicine ever.
No.
So what are your thoughts on like where Western medicine fits in? Like for you, I guess. I mean, obviously, if you break a leg or something, you might want to see the doctor to get it set. But you know, I know a lot of people have a huge problem when I say something to the effect of, I don't know that I'd get chemo if I had cancer, because I don't know that I'd want to put another poison into my body. I don't know. I'm not there. So
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I feel like everyone, the most amazing thing about being on the planet is everyone has the free will to make any choice that they feel is best for them at the moment that they made that decision. And there's no wrong or right. It's just the best that you can do in the position that you're in. That being said, I would personally only go to Western medicine if, God forbid, a traumatic thing happened. Right? Trauma, I feel like Western medicine is the best. Like if you broke your leg, you're going to the hospital, they reset it. But for the healing of the leg, I'm definitely not going to go to the doctor. I'm going to go to the acupuncturist. I'm going to go to a chiropractor. I'm going to go to the osteopath. I'm going to do the herbs. I'm going to do the supplements. I'm going to do the mindset. I'm going to do the meditation. I'm going to visualize my leg being whole and healthy. That is the healing. To get it fixed, I go to the doctor. So for me, that's how I think about Western medicine. And I also like Western medicine for the diagnostics. Like if I feel like I have clients that are having a little issues, not a little, but they're having hormonal things, they're menopausal, that all these things are happening. Go to the Western medicine doctor, go to a functional medicine doctor, get the numbers. It's really nice to have those numbers. Like, this is where you're at. Once you have those numbers, you can do supplements, you can do herbs, you can do lifestyle, you can do changes in your diet. So you don't have to take the pills necessarily, but there's more options. And I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with going on Western medicine. Sometimes you need to. Like if you're really depressed and you have bipolar, you may need some drugs for that to balance yourself out. There's no problem with that. But I'm saying, like, if you're going to do the Western medicine with the drugs, I still think you need to balance that with food and diet and mindset so that you don't have to be on those drugs forever. Like for me, drugs are more like a Band-Aid. Then you could work on other things so that you don't have to be on it. Like I had a client that was pre-diabetic, so they put her on metformin without telling her, maybe you should stop eating all those meats because you have no gallbladder. So maybe eating lots of fish and all these things that you're eating, maybe you should slow down. They never told her that. They were just, go on metformin. And I was like, do you want to be on metformin? She was like, no. I said, well, let's work on your diet. We shifted her diet to more plant-based. She got off the medication. You know, that isn't going to work for everybody. So if you're on metformin, you should probably consult a holistic care provider. Just don't get off it. But you know, that movie Fork Over Knives, there was amazing people that had all these medications that they were taking. They were able to get off it by changing their diet. So for me, Western medicine has their place, but it's not for healing.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's a really good distinction. I love that distinction. Have you seen the documentary Super Juice Me?
Super Juice Me? No, but I've seen Superfood. That was an older one. Yeah.
Super Juice Me was amazing. It was a 4-week juice cleanse, and it was like some European country, and this guy came, he had an entire suitcase full of medicine.
Wow.
When he got there, and by the time he left at the end of the 4 weeks, he had like 4 medicines to like total. So it does make a difference what you're eating, and not that you can just juice for the rest of your life necessarily, but
it gives you a nice reset.
Yeah, exactly. It's the AED paddles.
Yeah. Totally.
Jumpstart that health. So what is your stance on things like cleanses and fasting, for example?
I love both of those things, but I'm also in the belief that you need to do things in transitions and gradually, because a lot of people go from eating a lot of processed food, a lot of junk food, and then they want to do a cleanse. And I'm like, you're going to get sick. Your body's full of toxins. There's no way that you can go from eating McDonald's and burgers to now doing a juice cleanse. It's like a recipe for disaster. And I want people to be successful. Like if you do something like that, you're going to be releasing so much toxins in your system. Your body can't detox that. You're going to feel sick and tired, and you're never going to want to cleanse ever. So for me, I always want to give people transition. Sometimes it could take a few months. Like I had clients, took her 3 months before she was able to do the cleanse, because we slowly started reducing, like cutting out the gluten, cutting out the sugar, that and the dairy. Those three things, for some people, that it takes them so long to wrap their minds around that. We slowly stopped doing that. We got her to a paleo place where we were doing meats and vegetables. Okay, lots. And then the morning she would do just fruits and water, lemon water and fruits. And then she would have, so we transitioned her slowly, took 3 months. And then she did a juice cleanse. And then she felt great, because we were able to detox her slowly. If you're just going to jump into it, like, it's not the thing. Like, I tried to jump into it when I was younger and I never was able to be successful because I had so much toxicity in my body. Now, if I do a juice cleanse, it wouldn't be a big deal. I'd be like, oh, okay, I can do a juice cleanse. But it takes time to get your body to that place.
No, that's beautiful, because we're in a microwave society and we want things right now. So I like that distinction, though, because it is important to work your way into it. Do you think too, and I don't know if you know this answer, but do you think that when you do jump, for example, and you're releasing so many toxins all at once, that some of them will actually reabsorb into your body because you can't get rid of them quickly enough?
Yeah, if your kidneys are not filtering properly and your lymphatic system is congested, then you are probably going to get rashes. Things are going to be coming out of your skin. You're going to get tired all the time. Your head's going to be foggy. Like, your lymphatic system isn't, if it's not working, then it's not. You're not eliminating it. And it may reabsorb if it's not being eliminated fast enough. And so that's why the transition is nice, so that you can transition to slowly detox and then do a major detox when your body's not filled with so much toxicity. And we all have toxicity. We breathe it in every day. So our bodies are always going to be toxic, but it's just the levels. Like, if you're at 98% toxicity, you don't have much wiggle room there. If you're like at 40%, then you have a lot more wiggle room that can actually get your body to eliminate faster. So doing enemas and things to help your colon move and getting things out from that direction, because we eliminate from our bowels, our urine, and our skin. And if one of those are not working during your cleanse, you're totally screwed.
Yeah, that's true. Especially skin. Oh my goodness. It is your biggest organ. So that's crazy. So, a lot of people take supplements and I'm referring to, just going to the store and picking something out because, like, oh, I don't have enough energy. I'm going to get some B12 or something like that. Would you like to explain why that's a no-no?
First of all, if you're not digesting food well, you're wasting money on a supplement. Like, if you're not eliminating well, meaning you don't have great bowel movements, you're not urinating a lot, you're not sweating. Like, if your lymphatic system is congested, and you know that because you have inflammation or you have acne or you have skin issues, you have dry hair, scalp, itchiness, all this stuff means your lymphatic system is congested. You get fungal infections, all of that. Now you want to put a supplement. Where's the supplement going to go? You're full. You're full. So, and also your liver has to detoxify a supplement, and the supplements are often filled with a lot of fillers. So the cheaper your supplement, the more filler it has. So that means you're now taking in extra toxicity that your body can't even break down to begin with. And a lot of times you're urinating most of it out because your body can't even absorb it. So honestly, before you go down the whole supplement route, you want to first figure out, can you get your digestive system working properly, eating fresh foods that are not processed, getting good bacteria from eating healthy foods, and then go into the whole supplement thing. At least try liquid ones first to see, can it absorb? Because if you're going to just be popping in supplements, and I promise you that you're peeing most of it out. And I know this because I did it. Like, I would take a bunch of supplements and I'm like, I don't feel any better. And then I'd look in the toilet. I'm like, I just peed everything out. Like, it's not, nothing's happening. So this is like, for those people who don't understand, what are people looking for when you say that you peed it out? Like, what does that look like? Well, vitamins, like a lot of supplements that are water soluble, like C and the B's. Like, if you urinate, it's like the B's are obvious. It's like that bright orange urination. That's just like, this is
what's wrong with me.
And so for me, I know, like, if I take vitamin B's in a tablet, because I have digestive issues that I'm always working with, right? So my lymphatic system always needs support. So if I take a B vitamin in a tablet, I don't absorb it. It just goes through me. But if I do a liquid, my urine doesn't change colors.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
know that my body has absorbed it. So that's one thing. And also, do you feel better? I mean, if you're taking vitamin B and iron and all these things and you're not noticing a difference, then it's questionable if it's working. Are you digesting it?
Yeah.
A lot of these supplements, they have a lot of fillers. And then a lot of them have like gelatin, all sorts of things, which is an animal product, so you kind of have to do your due diligence, and you want to make sure that it's pharmaceutical grade. So I always think it's better to get supplements from a healthcare provider because you get better quality. Don't buy supplements on Amazon. It's just not a good idea because it's sometimes expired. And so you want to make sure that you're getting supplements from a good source.
What about Chinese herbs? Where can somebody go to get those?
You should get them through a licensed acupuncturist or an herbalist. Chinese herbs are formulas, and so you can't just get one herb, and it's really specific to who and what's going on with you. And also, you want to make sure that you're getting the herbs that are processed by a third party, because a lot of times some of the companies are directly from China, so there's Chinese written on, you don't know what it is. So I don't use those because a lot of the herbs are grown in soils that are rich in heavy metals. And if they don't do testing, and you're not going to know, you're just putting more poison into your body.
Exactly.
So there's a few companies that take the herbs from China, they make the formulas in the States, and they have third-party testing to make sure that there's no heavy metals in them. So there's a company in Australia that's very similar. So I only use those herbs. So you want to make sure that your practitioner is giving you supplements from, or herbs, Chinese herbs, from a company that has third-party testing for heavy metals and different types of toxicities.
That's a really good piece of advice, because for somebody who doesn't know, how would they know? Because I didn't know about the third-party testing, and that makes perfect sense. Now that you say it, it's kind of like, of course. Of course, that makes perfect sense. We are running a little low on time. Is there anything that you would love to reiterate or maybe share with the audience?
Yeah, well, I would love to share that you can heal. I feel like healing is always possible for you, like no matter what age you are, no matter what's happening in your life. And I know something I hear oftentimes, especially with people that are suffering from chronic illness, is like, I've done everything and I still don't feel good. There's still more. There's still more that you can do. And I feel like finding the love within your heart and really working on opening up your heart and being more peaceful and surrendering to your life and accepting it for where it is, and finding more joy and radiance and laughter is a remarkable way to find your path to healing. Because sometimes the biggest gift and the biggest miraculous thing that will happen to spark your healing comes from within, and it always comes from a direction you don't expect. So to be open to the miracles of healing.
Wow, I've never heard anybody actually articulate that so well. That's pretty awesome. And then one last thing, I would love for you to quickly touch on this challenge that you have coming up.
Yeah, so loveliberates.com, you can purchase a 3-day challenge. Well, you get some videos on how you can love yourself more and how you can think about your traumas and your pains from a different perspective. And you can also sign up there to have a one-on-one free coaching call with me.
I love that. Well, Carine, thank you so much for being here today. It's been fun for me. So you know more about the things I'm curious about. So I love it.
Thank you for having me.
It's been my pleasure. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
Isn't she amazing? My goodness. I hopefully she'll come back on the show, because I know we barely touched on all of her talents. So I would love to have her back, but we do have to go because it is that time. And so until next week, I guess, have a great weekend, everyone. Maybe it helps to press the right thing.